Okay, dear children, we can start from, still we are in the first chapter, background of the business, and we talk about a lot of things like definition of a business, and we identify main objectives of businesses, main goals of businesses, and sub-objectives which help to attain the main objectives of businesses, and we talk about the evolution of business concept as well. So however, then we shifted to there were key terms like needs, wants. So we talk about the characteristics, definitions, characteristics, differences in between needs and wants, and all these things through under this chapter. So now I'm going to teach you about factors of production. You know, when manufacturing a certain product, when manufacturing a commodity, or when providing a service, definitely we need to use resources. When doing businesses, definitely we need resources. When doing whatever economic activity, business need, my dear children, resources. We have to utilize resources. So these resources are called factors of production. So dear children, you can mention here, you can see blank, which are required to blank goods or provide services can be termed as factors of production. So let's fill the blanks, my dear children. Resources, right? Resources which are required to produce. Resources which are required to produce goods or provide services can be termed as factors of production. Right, let's start from factors of production. You know, when manufacturing whatever thing, it can be a commodity, or when providing services also need to utilize resources. So that's compulsory. So these resources are called factors of production. So required resources for the production, simply we can term as factors of production. So dear children, you can see here a couple of blanks. So factors of production means resources which are required to produce. Resources which are required to produce goods or provide services are termed as factors of production. Right. Now you know there are 4 categories mainly, or we can arrange a list of required resources while manufacturing a commodity or when providing a service. No. So we can arrange a list of resources which are required for the production. But all these resources we can categorize under 4 main categories. These are called land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Now let's talk about these 4 main categories of factors of production. What are these 4 main categories, guys? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So before talking about the 4 main categories, like I mentioned earlier, we need to complete these blanks as well. So let's see. The availability of factors of production is limited. Due to that reason, it is important to use those resources in an efficient and effective manner. The factors of production can be categorized basically as, come on, you can fill the blanks, dear children. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Right? Instead of that, knowledge, time, and information are also considered as factors of production. Okay, let's shift to land. So now let's talk about land, dear children, in detail. So land means here not only the surface. Land means actually all the resources which we can extract from the nature. The natural resources we term as land. The natural resources which we utilize for the production, we can identify as land. It can be resources on the surface, resources beneath the surface, or resources above the surface. So whatever natural resources that we can extract for the production, we can term as land, dear children. Okay, let's see. All the natural resources are considered as land. It includes resources on the surface, beneath the surface, or above the surface. Right. Okay, my dear children. Examples. Resources on the surface. So what can you see the resources on the surface? What can you see as natural resources which you can see on the surface? Come on, you can mention here trees, forest. Come on, you can mention here trees, forest, soil, dear children, as examples. So you can mention a couple of examples here for the resources on the surface as soil, trees, right? From forest also we can take resources, waterfalls, right? Okay, whatever natural resources on the surface that you can see on the surface. Then resources beneath the surface, minerals, crude oil, lead, gems. Also through mining, my dear children, we can extract gems as well. So however, whatever resources beneath the surface, crude oil, minerals, lead, coal, right? Okay, dear children, resources above the surface, you can take it as atmosphere. Right, now we are still talking about the required resources for the production. So we can extract natural resources from the nature. We call it as land. Now let's move to labor factor. I told you, when doing a business, we have to utilize natural resources. We need natural resources. Other than that, dear children, when implementing business operations, definitely we need to hire employees from lower level to the top, right? So we need labor factor as well. So that is also a required resource when doing a business. Just assume one day you can start your own business, and don't you want labor factor? Definitely you must recruit employees to perform certain duties. So labor factor also a required resource, dear children. So let's have a look. Labor means physical and mental contributions which help to carry out business activities can be termed as labor. So mainly the labor factor also we can classify into as physical efforts. Some put physical efforts, some contribute mentally. So however, in front of physical efforts you can mention here the lower machine operators. You can mention here, dear children, machine operators. They contribute physically, no? Machine operators, carpenters, likewise, farmers. Okay, as example for the ones who put mental efforts, ones who contribute mentally, you can mention here, dear children, come on, accountants, managers, top managers, senior managers, right? So however, this is a certain contribution, certain physical contribution. So mainly some individuals contribute physically, mainly they contribute physically, and some contribute their mentally as well, right? Okay, however, you know now labor also as a required resource. Now let's have a look, let's move to the third one, that is capital. Now let's talk about capital, dear children. So I taught you two factors of production so far, land and the labor. You know land as natural resources that we extract, my dear children, that we utilize when doing a business. And you know as labor means the physical and mental contribution of human beings when doing a business. Now let's move to capital. Capital means the man-made things which facilitate business activities, the man-made things which facilitate business operations. So let's write down with me, man-made things. Man-made things. Man-made things which facilitate, man-made things which facilitate business operations. Man-made things which facilitate business operations. Business operations. Man-made things which facilitate business operations. We can recognize, we can identify as capital. So when doing a business, we need buildings. Are these given by the nature? No, man-made things. When doing a business, we need machinery. So machinery made by human beings. So dear children, such man-made things which facilitate business operations, we can recognize as capital. Now three factors of production, three categories of factors of production. Land means natural resources which are useful when doing a business. Labor means mental and physical contributions of human beings when doing a business, when implementing business operations. And as capital, the things which are contributed by man, right? Human beings, man-made things, in other words, right, which facilitate business operations. So now let's talk about the last one. Okay, are you ready to discuss the last category of factors of production according to your syllabus? That's entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. Vyavasayakatva in Sinhala. So even having natural resources, labor factor, and man-made things, still that's not sufficient. Need to have entrepreneurship as well, right? So this is very important. And what do you mean by entrepreneurship? That is the role of organizing all other factors of production. That is a key role of generating inventions. That is the role of creating new things, right, by managing risk. So simply we call it as entrepreneurship. I told you, even having all other resources, we can't run a business. Need to have this one, that is essential, entrepreneurship. ඒකයි හැමෝම ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ නොවෙන්නේ. ඒකයි හැමෝම ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ නෙවෙන්නේ. හැමදේම තිබ්බත් මේ දේ තියෙන්න නැත්නම් වැඩක් නැහැ. So come on dear children, entrepreneurship means it's a process of organizing all the factors of production like land, labor, capital, and doing a business by taking risk and through generating inventions. So that is called entrepreneurship. And be an entrepreneur and you can make a lot of money. So now let's see. Entrepreneurship means organizing factors of production such as land, labor, capital by creating inventions, managing business operations, and risk and uncertainties to drive the business towards success. So you can see here a couple of examples. Right, after talking about factors of production, now we shifted to another interesting area here, children. Still we are in the first lesson, background of the business. So we talk about so far the definition of businesses, definitions of key terms like needs, wants, and talk about main objective of business, objectives with the evolution of business concept, the key stages in the evolution of business concept, and especially we talk about factors of production as required resources for production. And now let's talk about stakeholders. What do you mean by stake? In Sinhala, almak. Holders means atiparshavyan. So now I'm going to teach you stakeholders. As stakeholders, we can identify different parties, a lot of parties. So however, stakeholders means, stake means almak, holders means almak sahita parshavyan. Unanduak dakwana parshavyan. So in English, dear children, stakeholders means the parties, those who have an interest in businesses. Those who have an interest. It can be whatever party, and it can be anybody, my dear children. However, the parties, those who have an interest in businesses, we recognize as stakeholders. So let's, my dear children, see a couple of examples. So before talking about examples, definitely we need to fill the blanks. Stakeholders are the parties, those who have, come on, you can, those who have an interest, those who have an interest, those who have an interest, those who have an interest in businesses. These parties show an interest in business with the expectation of satisfying the objectives, the objectives, the objectives, the objectives, the objectives, right? The objectives, the objective of each party. In other words, aims of each party. So there are different parties. We can identify here different parties, those who have an interest in the business Why do they have an interest? Because each and every party, dear children, has different aims, different objectives. They try to achieve different things, my dear children. That's why they have an interest. So anyway, stakeholders means the parties, those who have an interest in the business. දැන් ඔයා දරුවෙක් විදියට ඔයාගෙනත් උනන්දුවක් දක්වන පාර්ශව ඉන්නව නේද? ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ දෙමාපියෝ ඇරුණාම, ගුරුවරු ඇරුණාම නේද? වටපිටේ නෑදෑයෝ වගේ කට්ටිය නේද? ගමේ කට්ටිය වගේ උනන්දුව දක්වනවනේ. ඒ සියලුම පාර්ශවයන් තමයි stakeholders කියන්නේ. So here we are talking about businesses. So it can be any party, those who have an interest in your business. So dear children, let's talk about a couple of examples. So here you can see a list of stakeholders like owners, managers, employees, competitors, government, pressure groups, suppliers, financial institutes, pressure groups, the community. Okay, it can be anybody. So let's complete the tute. Owners, the ones who have. Who are the owners? The ones who invest. The ones who invest capital. The ones who invest capital. The ones who invest capital. The ones who invest capital to the business are known as owners. So after starting accounting lessons, we will talk about capital in detail. So capital means, dear children, here whatever resources provided by the owners, right? Okay, the owners who invest capital, I mean the funds, mainly the funds, right? Because owners need to invest funds, no? So we call it as capital, not only funds, whatever resources, right? The owners who invest capital to the business are known as owners. Let's take managers. So managers also have an interest, you all know. Managers also have an interest, you all know. So who are managers? Are they owners? No, they are not owners. They are working under the owners, right? So managers means the ones who are responsible in decision making, ones who are responsible in taking, ones who are responsible in taking decisions, ones who are responsible in taking decisions, right? Ones who are responsible in taking decisions. Okay, now let's shift to another stakeholder. You can see employees. They also have an interest, right? They are not the owners, they are not managers as well, but they also have an interest. Who are the employees? The ones who perform day-to-day business operations. We call it as routine business operations. The parties who perform day-to-day business operations. Day-to-day business operations. Routine activities, right? The parties who perform day-to-day business operations with the purpose of obtaining salaries. Let's shift to the competitors as well. Who are the competitors? The ones who provide a homogeneous product, the same product. So when we take Coca-Cola company, my dear children, as a business, who are the competitors? You can arrange a list. Let's take DSI. Who are the competitors? You know a list of competitors. So competitors means all other businesses which provide a homogeneous product, similar product. Entities which offer similar product. Right, my dear children, similar product to the market can be termed as competitor. So now I told you about, I taught you about stakeholders. So stakeholders means parties, those who have an interest in the business. So you know now a couple of stakeholders. So we talk about owners, managers, employees as stakeholders. All these parties have an interest, and we talk about competitors as well. So other than these parties, here you can see a list. Government. So government means the authority which regulate everyone. They regulate, they enforce the law, they formulate government policies, right? They regulate businesses, customers, right? So that is called the government. So authority which formulate government policies, rules and regulate to protect customers, businesses, environment. So let's shift to pressure groups. So government also has an interest. Government also have an interest in the business. So let's talk about the pressure groups. It can be any party who can make a pressure for the business operations. Pressure groups. Any party who can make influences, like trade unions, who can make influences for the activities of the business. So let's write here, let's mention here a couple of pressure groups, dear children. Trade unions. So number of employees can form a trade union. Employees of the organization, they can form a trade union together to bargain with their employers. So that's called trade unions. So such trade unions can make influences. ඉරටු ගොඩ ඔක්කොම එකතු වුණාම තනි රටට ලොකු ශක්තියක් නැති වුණාට ඉරටු ගොඩ ඔක්කොම එකතු වුණාම ලොකු ශක්තියක් එනවා නේද? So employees, they all can enter into a trade union, and so through that trade union they can bargain with the business. So they can make a pressure here. You can see trade union as a pressure group. Okay, other than trade unions, you can mention different associations and clubs, my dear children, as the parties those who can influence on business activities, like NGOs, environmental friendly units. Okay, you can mention here. Now let's move to customers. Customers means the parties those who purchase products. The parties those who buy products, purchase products. The parties those who purchase products of the business. Let's shift to another stakeholder, another category of stakeholders, my dear children. Suppliers. We can take suppliers. So organizations which supply required resources. It can be raw materials, finished goods, or WIP, work in progress. So now let's move to the last one, banks and financial institutes. Here you can see I have mentioned few stakeholders. So we started from owners, managers, employees, competitors, and we talk about customers, government, suppliers, pressure groups also as stakeholders. And let's shift to this one, banks and financial institutes. So number of banks, dear children, as Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, HSBC, NDB Bank, right? National Savings Bank, NSB, RDB, Regional Development Bank, Commercial Bank. So there are a lot of banks. So there's no specific definition. So they also have an interest because business can obtain loans from banks. Business excess of money, business can deposit in banks. So they provide various services. Institutes which offer various financial services. Various financial services such as lending loans, services related to deposits, etc. etc. End of thinking capacity, no? I'm kidding. Right, okay. So now you have an idea about the stakeholders as well, right? Okay, so let's move to the next page of our handout, my dear children. Here you can see the business, and you can identify various parties, those who have an interest. So as we discussed earlier, you can mention the main parties, dear children. According to the handout, you can now rewrite the identified parties as stakeholders. So I will start from here. Come on. Owners. So we identify owners as stakeholders. So you can complete on your own, you can complete managers. I will write another part here, managers, and you need to complete the rest. Please make sure to mention all the parties, those who have an interest, according to the syllabus. According to the handout, you can mention the identified parties as stakeholders. So in other words, let me tell you, you are interested in something. Then why do you have an interest with regard to certain subject matter? Because you try to get some sort of thing in return. So stakeholders of a business also have an interest in the business to get some sort of thing from the business, to get something. These are called objectives of stakeholders. In other words, aims of stakeholders. Now we are going to learn the stakeholders' objectives. Objectives of stakeholders. Stakeholders' aims. Aims of stakeholders. In other words, objectives of stakeholders. Objectives. So, dear children, let's talk about the reason for them to be interested in the business as the objectives of stakeholders. So when we talk about the objectives or aims of stakeholders, you need to think from the point of view of each and every stakeholder. චූටි කාලේ concept එකේ අර ගහක් මලක් වුණා වගේ මම මලක් මම ගහක් සමනලෙක් වගේ scene එකේ. So here, if you want to identify the objectives of stakeholders, reason for them to have an interest in the business, you need to think from the point of view of each and every stakeholder. So let's talk about owners. Why do they have an interest in the business? It's easy. To earn profits. To whom does the profit belong? Owners, right? So owners are interested in the business to earn what? Profits. Then, you know, owners invest in the business, they invest capital in the business. In return, they have an interest in the business, their children, to secure their invested funds. So they seek security of investments. So what you have to write down here is security of investment. Security of the investment. Security of the investment. Font size එක පොඩ්ඩක් වැඩි කරලා ලියනවාට ලේසි වෙන්න. බෝල අකුරු බබාගේ වගේ. Dear children, in other words, they seek growth of the business as well. Growth. Who seek growth? Owners worry about the growth, dear children. So here, normally, we can take these things as objectives of owners. Be an owner. Think as an owner. Behave as an owner and think what you want. Yeah, definitely. You need these things. Dear children, now let's move to managers. So you know managers. You know about managers. They act on behalf of owners. They are responsible in taking decisions, right? So however, now think, my dear children, reason for them to be interested in the business. So however, managers also kind of employees, no? They are also employees, no? We can call them as white collar workers, not blue collar workers. Blue collar workers are minor workers, just employees. So however, as managers also, actually they are responsible in taking decisions. So in return, they are interested in the business. They have an interest in the business to evaluate the success of the decisions that they made. තමන් ගත්ත තීරණයක් හරිද වැරදිද කියලා බලාගන්න උනන්දුවක් තියෙනවනේ. හරි ගියාද වැරදි ගියාද වැරදුනාද කියලා බලන්න. So managers, my dear children, mainly they are interested in the business to evaluate the success of the decisions. Success of the decisions. Success of the decisions. To evaluate the success of the decisions. In return, they are interested in the business to get higher salaries, to increase their salary, to get higher salaries. Can be promotions as well, fringe benefits, various other compensation benefits, and job security also. If you want, you can take another one, job security. Job security. Job security also another reason, my dear children, to have an interest. Okay, now let's move to employees. They are also interested in the business. We took employees, we considered employees also as a stakeholder. Now let's see, what do they want? Be an employee. Don't be an employee one day. Just be an entrepreneur. Try to become an entrepreneur. Try to be an entrepreneur. So however, at this moment, just act as an employee. Think, what do you want? What do you want? Why do you have an interest in the business? Definitely, to obtain higher salaries is one objective of employees, especially job security. රැකියාවේ සුරක්ෂිතභාවය අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. Job promotions, career development, promotions. To get promotions also, employees are interested in the business, right? Okay. So now you have an idea about, dear children, objectives of these parties, reason to have an interest. Now you can see competitors. What do they want? Why they are also interested in our business, to get our information, to attract our customers, to attract our loyal employees. That is called, normally we call it as headhunting, right? To get business secrets, to attract employees and customers. Okay. So let's move to the government. This is very important one. Government also has an interest in the business. Why? Why do they have an interest? Mainly, government, dear children, charge taxes. Tax means the main source of income of the government. So normally, as an individual, I can't charge taxes. No, I can't charge tax. So mainly, that is an income of the government. Government charge direct taxes as well as indirect taxes. We all pay. We all have to pay taxes, right? So, however, government, my dear children, when we talk about the objectives of government, reason to have an interest in the business, definitely they are interested in the business to charge what? Taxes. Government, my dear children, government has an interest in the business to charge taxes. Taxes. බදු අය කරන්න උනන්දුවක් දක්වනවා. ඒ වගේම increasing the GDP, gross domestic production. Increasing the gross domestic production. What do you mean by gross domestic production? The production of a nation. So, businesses manufacture goods or provide services. So, government, my dear children, have an interest in the business to increase the production of a country. That is called gross domestic production. We normally, in other words, we call it as national income according to A levels. So, okay, to increase the gross domestic production also, government has an interest in the business. ව්‍යාපාර සම්බන්ධ උනන්දුවක් දක්වනවා රටේ නිෂ්පාදනය වැඩි කරගන්න. ව්‍යාපාර තුලින් නිෂ්පාදනය වැඩි කරගන්න. Through businesses, they try to increase the production. Because when increasing production, the national income will increase, the individual income, it may directly make an impact for the individual income and the purchasing power. හරි හිතන්න එපා ඕවා ගැන. Then, dear children, generating employment opportunities also another objective of government, because through the businesses, when you open a business, when you start a business, when you commence a business, definitely you will recruit a number of individuals as your employees, as managers. So, come on. Then, my dear children, a country can reduce the unemployment. රැකියාව අඩු කරගන්න පුළුවන් ඒ තුලින්. So that is also another objective of government. Now let's move to the pressure groups. Now you have an idea about the objectives of stakeholders. Objectives means their aims, the things that they try to get from the business, the things that they try to achieve from the business, right? Right. Okay, let's shift to pressure groups. So, pressure groups as the party, it can be any party, those who can make a pressure to the business, those who can influence on business activities. So, however, pressure groups also have an interest in the business to improve the quality of the products. Sometimes it is because of to prevent harmful business operations, and it can be due to improve the quality, the standards, the working conditions, right? So these are a couple of examples of the objectives of stakeholder pressure groups. Now let's move to customers. Now think as a customer, what do you want from the business? What are your objectives? What are your aims? Definitely, one objective is to buy quality products. Complete your notes. To purchase quality products. To purchase quality products, goods or services, products. to purchase quality products. And to purchase, as same as purchasing quality products, you have another objective. There's another reason to have an interest in the business by customers. What is that? To purchase products at a higher price or reasonable price. Yeah, my dear, reasonable price. Reasonable price. To purchase products at a reasonable price. Especially on the other hand, to get information about the products also, we are interested in the businesses as customers. We shift to suppliers actually. They also have an interest in the business to secure orders or to get continuous orders, to get continuous orders. Continuous orders. To get continuous orders. To get orders continuously, they have an interest. On the other hand, suppliers have an interest in the business to claim the amounts of the orders, to recover the funds for the orders, obtaining funds without any delay, to increase the volume, to increase the number of quantity that they can supply also. They have an interest in the business, right? Okay, let's move to the next one, my dear children. Banks and financial institutes, they have an BOC, Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, HSBC, and all other banks, commercial bank. They have an interest in the business to provide loans, providing more loans and advances, right? As well as recovery of loans also another reason to have an interest in the business, to recover loans and advance given, to recover, complete the blank here, to recover loans and advance given, also another reason to have an interest in the business. So now let's move to the next one, general public. It can be anyone, no? So the community, they also have an interest to prevent environment pollution and to get job opportunities or to increase the quality of products or to purchase quality products at a reasonable price. All these can be the reason to have an interest by general public or the community. So now here is a summary. There are stakeholders. We can identify a number of stakeholders with regard to business. All these stakeholders have an interest in the business to get some sort of thing from the business. These are called objectives of stakeholders, aims of stakeholders, dear children. I think it's easy for you guys. So when you do a business, actually we have to have a knowledge about, or we have to have a knowledge regarding all these things. So that's essential. These are very primary thing and but very important, right? Okay, so earlier we talked about objectives of stakeholders, aims of stakeholders. So when we take a business, dear children, right, when we talk about a business, we can identify various stakeholders, those who have an interest, right? We talk about various stakeholders, those who have an interest, like it can be owners, right? Managers, employees, right? Customers, right? So earlier we talked about objectives of stakeholders, right? We talk about objectives of stakeholders, objectives, their aims. Now I'm going to teach you, dear children, not the objective of stakeholders. As having objective of stakeholders, business also has an interest. Business also has an interest, my dear children, in each and every stakeholder. Because business need owners, business need employees. Without managers also, it's a bit difficult to run a business. So business need assistance from the government, right? Let's say GVT, government, okay. And without customers also, there's no survival. Dear children, earlier we talked about objectives, in other words, aims of stakeholders. Now let's talk about the contributions of stakeholders. In other words, business also needs its stakeholders, because stakeholders contribute certain things, resources, or different things to the business. So business, therefore, business also has an interest in its stakeholders. So normally we call such things as contributions of stakeholders, right? So before completing the handout, before filling the blanks, my dear children, you need to highlight here. We are going to talk the contributions. Okay, now let's have a look. We can discuss contributions of owners first. Now think as an owner, what do you contribute to the business? Okay, dear children, mainly owners provide capital. So here you can mention providing capital. That is a major contribution of owners, providing capital. Owners provide funds, all other resources. So after starting a business one day, you also will invest capital. So that is a major contribution. So business needs owners because we can see contributions like providing capital, as another one, taking business risk. Who takes risk? The owners. Managers or employees, they don't take risk. Mainly the owner or the owners take risk, right? So that is also a major contribution. So business has an interest in its owners because of these contributions. Now let's move to managers. Their main role is decision making. So dear children, business needs its managers because we can see contributions from managers like taking accurate decisions. So other than that, you can see managing resources of the business. Managers manage human resource, all other physical resources. So business need managers as well. So practically when you do a business also need all these stakeholders because you can see contributions, my dear children, made by each and every stakeholder. Now we can shift to the next one, that is employees. What are the contributions of employees? What do they do? Now, repeating again and again, dear children, you have to identify the contributions. So as a reason to have an interest by the business in its stakeholders, we need to talk about contributions of stakeholders. So now, what does an employee contribute, dear children? What do they contribute? They perform routine activities. Isn't that a contribution? Performing business activities efficiently. That is a major contribution. So when they execute business operations, implement business tasks efficiently, that is a contribution, a major contribution, dear children. We can consider it as a major contribution. And other than that, securing business secrets also another contribution of employees because they have direct access for business information, and if they secure business information without providing these information to external parties, definitely that is a major contribution of employees. Now let's shift to government. Earlier we talked about interest of government, objectives of government, in other words, aims of government. Now don't say the aims. Come on, tell me the objectives of government. You have to so earlier we talk about the interest of government. Now you have to mention here, you have to write down the contributions of government. So what does a government contribute for the businesses? Mainly they provide incentives. So providing incentives. What do you mean by incentive? Sahanadar in Sinhala. So for the fishermen, government can provide kerosene oil as an incentive. For the farmers, government can provide fertilizer incentive, like that. to encourage the producers, government can provide various incentives, redeems, tax exemptions as a contribution. Not forming taxes, tax exemptions, Badu Sahana in Sinhala. Let's move to another contribution of government. Government mainly contribute infrastructure facilities. What do you mean by infrastructure? The basic requirements that a business need to implement their function smoothly, like irrigation system, electricity, transportation system, water facilities, security. So these are called infrastructure. So government provide infrastructure, dear children, as a contribution. So here you need to mention infrastructure facilities. Okay, we can move to pressure groups, and we have to talk about their contributions of pressure groups. Now we need to talk contributions of pressure groups, dear children. So pressure groups means any party which can influence on business activities. No. So their contributions, what are their contributions? They can provide useful suggestions, my dear children, for us to improve our practices. Likewise, here you can see providing suggestions to improve the business operations, providing suggestions to improve the quality of goods. So these can be the contributions, my dear children, of pressure groups. And especially, let's talk about customers. You know, customers are the ones who purchase our products. What's their major contribution? Don't say the interest of customers. Here we are writing the contribution of customers. The major contribution is buying products, purchasing products of the business. So here you need to write down purchasing goods and services. Other than that, introducing new customers also we can consider as a major contribution of customers. Moving to suppliers, they supply the required resources for the business, like raw materials, finished goods, work in progress, partially completed goods, work in progress. So however, what are their contributions? Why does a business need suppliers? We are talking about the contributions. So definitely, if our customers supply quality goods, that's a major contribution. If our suppliers provide the supplies in time, that's a contribution. So here you can see a couple of contributions of suppliers: supplying goods and services on credit basis, supplying quality material on time. Most of time, suppliers provide, my dear children, their supplies on credit basis. Without purchasing goods on cash basis, businesses can purchase goods from customers on credit as well. So that is a major contribution. So let's move to the rest as well. Banks and financial institutes. As a major contribution of banks and financial institutes, my dear children, we can write here providing loans. Banks provide loans. So when there's a shortage of funds, my dear children, definitely business can obtain loans from banks. So that is a major contribution. If you don't have enough funds, we can borrow loans. Other than that, when there's an excess of funds, business can deposit that excess, dear children, in financial institutes, in banks. So we can get security for our excess funds as well, providing security for excess funds of the business. And finally, general public. What are the contributions of the general public? Sometimes they act as employees, they act as customers. So they act as pressure groups. So as their contribution, here you can see a couple of contributions: buying products, contribution to the employment, providing suggestions to improve the standards, the quality of the products, so on and so forth, right? Okay, dear children. So through this session, we talk about factors of production. Mainly, we identified 4 factors of production, 4 categories of factors of production, for land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. When doing a business, we need to gather all these resources, and especially according to the business concept, under this background of the business, dear children, we identified stakeholders, Who are the stakeholders? The parties, those who have an interest in the business. And we identified their objectives, their aims, the reason to have an interest in the business, as well as their contribution. So complete your notes. We'll send you a couple of questions. You have to leave some space, and you need to mention correct answers as well. I will check, my dear children, all these in the club. We can discuss all these, dear children, in the classroom. So thank you very much for joining. Make sure to complete your notes, right?